Hello there. I'm Scotty. You are not. Yeah. And we're gonna talk about Together. I was trying to figure out. I wasn't spacing or anything. It wasn't a moment. No, I just trying to figure out a intro. Yeah. Together. Together. Our love will last forever. That song they play all over the WWE. Anyway, yes, Together, which is directed by Michael Shanks. No, not that Michael Shanks from uh, Stargate. And believe me, I thought it was him, but it's not. It's a different Michael Shanks. And starring Dave Franco and Allison Brie, a real married couple, so of course they have great chemistry. This was a movie that was like all over the place this year. It was one of those that was built up, it was hyped. And a lot of the times you get those movies and you're just like, because you're like, it gets too hyped. I'm here to tell you, it was hyped a lot, but it was enough hype because I think this movie's worth the hype. Unlike something like Bring Her Back, where there was a lot of hype for that because it was the Philippou brothers' second film, and Talk to Me was good, right? That didn't live up to it. I didn't particularly care for that movie, but something like this. I'm someone who's into body horror movies, and Society, Reanimator. God, are those the only two I can think in my head? There's got to be others. Body horror. I'm into that. It's one of those things that make you go, ugh. I guess the Evil Dead remake you can count to. It's not necessarily body horror per se, but it's got those moments. Like when she's got that knife on her tongue, or they're cutting off the arm, bodily harm or bodily fusing together. In this case, body parts fusing together. So you got a real life couple who's playing a fictional couple, and they're having issues. They move out to the middle of the country because Millie is her name, she has she has a new job at an elementary school, and he is working on his music, and it just seems like their priorities are kind of at different points. At one point she proposes to him, and he thinks it's a joke, but he's like, "Yeah, of course," and I don't think they were actually officially are engaged. And then it all kind of comes crashing down when they fall in this hole where they're hiking and end up there overnight. He drinks some water that's down there, and then they start to sort of, whenever they touch, they sort of fuse together, where it's like, and he's finds himself to be drawn to her. Well, she's sort of like, what's going on? And he, and whenever they get a certain distance away, weird things start happening. Like there's a scene where he decides he's going to take a shower, and she's going to drive into town. And the further she drives, the more he gets sick, and he's smashing into the wall. Because there's connection between them. And then later, when he has to go, because they make it clear that he can't drive, myself, when he has to get on a train. And so he's at the train station waiting, and she drives away, and he once again starts to have that kind of feeling. And there's also moments when, they start to kind of connect. And when you get towards the second half of the film, specifically, there's a scene after the train station scene where he arrives at the elementary school and says, "I want you," and they go in the boys' bathroom to fuck, and they just start going at it, and then he gets stuck. Like he's a dog. Like, you ever have two dogs who mate, right? And you just kind of like, you don't want to see it. They're going at it, and you're just like, can I go in the other room, or can I leave? Because like I don't want, because I've had we had a male dog and a female dog growing up when I was a teenager, and yet they eventually, like, they both ended up getting fixed because then he needed to settle down and she needed to stop bleeding everywhere. So they both ended up getting fixed, but they still did it. They were a couple, husband and wife. They were, really. And sometimes with dogs, they get stuck. And that's what it is here. That he's stuck inside her. Right? Eventually he's able to pry himself, but they do see that a little kid has arrived. And then this teacher, who you mainly know there's something up with him, this Jamie guy, is like, this is the little boy's room, right? She uses the staff bathroom, and he sees the blood trickling down, and the first things, oh, she had her period or whatever. And then as he's leaving, he sees his feet. I forget his name. Tim's feet. Something's up. Now, I've been praising this movie so far, but I do have some issues. This kind of thing right here. They give this backstory to Tim where he talks about a situation where, well, when they get there, he immediately finds he gets a smell, and he immediately finds a bunch of dead rats inside one of the light fixtures. And then later he tells Millie that it's because of a situation when he was a kid where his dad kept smelling a smell in his room, in Tim's room when he was younger. And he kept cleaning, couldn't find it until eventually they found it was in the light. Every time he turned it on, it would cook. And then he's like, yeah, and it's just, I didn't smell it because it was a slow going, but this dad could smell, I don't know. And then the similar thing happened. Is it implied that his mom snapped, killed his dad, and then slept in the bed with the corpse? I don't know that we needed that kind of a backstory thing. I think it's supposed to give Tim a reason why he's so distant to her, but it just comes off as unnecessary. Like, this is a movie about two people being fused together by some weird thing. Why is there a weird backstory with this? I know it plays in later where they think that Tim has some kind of mental illness and that's why this is going on. Because, of course, no one can believe what's going on, right? Like, he tries to tell her what's going on. She says, oh, I know that, mental illness runs. That's not what it is. But like, it's one of those situations where he basically says, hey, touch my hand, you'll be forced to connect, just do it. And she's like, we need some time apart. My parents are coming, and I think I just need, you need to, I'm like, no, do what he says. Because, like, she can't believe him right now. Right? And, like, what we're talking about. So, at one point, she goes over to talk to Jamie about the incident at the school. And while there, he gives her some water. And it's after this that she starts to become also attracted to him. Even though for most of this movie, it's been the other way. So you automatically know that he's in on it. The problem is that part makes a lot of sense. That someone is forcing them to do this. That's a lot of sense. So then I start thinking about how this whole thing started. Wow, is Jamie lucky that they just so happened to fall into a hole and find the water. Right? He didn't push her like, hey, you guys should take a hike or anything. No, it's just like they just happen to fall in there. Right? Like, what if it was something like, hey, I'm welcoming you to the neighborhood and I got you, I made you something, and he used the water to make like a mac and cheese or a tuna noodle or something, and he used the water in there, and when they ate it, then they start to become attracted, right? But I get it. They want him to be the one infected first, so he drinks the water and she doesn't. So you get all that stuff with him, and then she's infected. Sure. But that to me, that's when it becomes kind of like, we want the slow burn first with him, because because she's not able to believe what's going on, so she can't have any effects of anything at that point until towards the end. And that's when she starts believing. It becomes we gotta make this movie an hour and a half or whatever the length is, so we can't have them both going towards each other right away. Let's do one first. Which I understand this. This is not a complaint. I understand. I'm just sort of getting it out there. So yeah. So it has to be an accident so that he's the only one infected at first. And then she can be poisoned by Jamie and so yeah, and because when he's, if you weren't already thinking something's with him, he basically tells her that something similar happening. He's like, oh, I was with someone, I had a partner, which I didn't catch it until I watched the ending explained, Found Flakes, that, oh, he's gay. Cool. Like, I didn't realize it. That's what he's like, oh, I got a wedding tape, which, again, he can't show her that wedding tape, or like, she'll know. At this point, she's not ready to know yet, but it's just getting started for that. So she's like, no, I better go. She sees Tim outside, and yeah. So yeah, he's like, oh, I was in a relationship, but it didn't work out. But, I just sort of became my own person. And I'm like, okay, something happened. And then you get to the climax of the movie where, and this is where it does kind of feel forced, where she's like, so we'll start off, they're sleeping in separate rooms because, they had an argument, whatever, and they want to be apart. So he's sleeping in one room, she's sleeping in another, but the force pushes them towards each other, and they start to fuse. And when they end up taking muscle relaxers to stop it, I guess that's how it works. Don't muscle relaxers also make you shit? Obviously, in movies, muscle relaxers, that'll help. Don't they make you shit too? Or am I thinking of stool softener? They don't make you shit. They'll just make it so it's easier for you to shit. But I always thought muscle relaxers, man, I don't know. Anyway, he wakes up on a chair. They're partially fused, and she uses this, Jigsaw Ex Machina that we brought up earlier. That was my dad's, and I barely know how to use it. So now they use that to cut themselves free. And okay, we got to get to hospital. We just cut each other free, and they need to check us out at the hospital or something. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh no, I think I left my keys at Jamie's. I believe. No, it wasn't. I was gonna say that I thought that she took him to the train station after she went to Jamie's, but no, because that's when he was at the train station and walked back, and then he did it. So no. But it still doesn't make any sense why she would leave her keys there, unless he snagged her keys so she wouldn't be able to leave. Maybe they showed it. I don't know. I missed it. I didn't hear Chris from Found Flakes say anything, so I don't know, why did she leave her keys there? 'Cause she ran off quick? I don't know. It's also she can walk in on him watching the wedding video, which is him and his partner fusing together as part of this cult. So, like, Tim was right the whole time, it's a cult thing. While she's doing that, he goes back down to the Cape to investigate. And even though they were just there a few days ago, now there is a fused creature of the two missing people that they've mentioned throughout the film. Fused because one of them died in the process, so they weren't able to fully fuse. You'd think if one of them was dead, it'd be easier for them to fuse. There's no one resisting, but I don't know. It happened. So he deals. I don't think he kills it, but he deals with that. He gets out. Maybe he does kill. I don't know. And she escapes. He escapes, and they realize what's going on. And he proposes to her this time with the thing, no real ring, just this. And they sort of laugh it off, and they realize, we just gotta do this. Because Jamie cut her arm, so there's some kind of, to start the fusion or whatever. So Tim realizes that they have to fuse to, sort of stop this, I guess. And this is where it kind of loses me, where I'm like, because I've seen way too many movies, and I complained about this with Bring Her Back, where they actually had a happy ending and found a way out of it instead of doing the obvious ending. And I feel like this was the obvious ending, and we needed something better. To me, that's what I feel. I feel like this movie was really good throughout, and then the ending was just, they went the obvious route, and I don't like it. Because in an ideal ending, they would find a cure. Like maybe she's at the house and finds there's a sort of antibody water, and she kills Jamie, takes it, and they both drink it, and they're fixed. But they're closer now with their relationship. But, but no, we get this. So earlier in the film, she talked about her favorite album, the Spice Girls album, which just sort of get me a little bit. I had mentioned my cousin passed away earlier this year. She loved the Spice Girls growing up, so that kind of got me. To Become One is the hit the hammer and the nail, hit the nail, hit it on. What I'm trying to say here is the very obvious song that this was just, I'm like, okay, I get it. You're again, this is like Keenan Ivory Wayans and Don't Be a Menace. Message! I get it. Okay? But this scene is actually pretty good, except for when you get the full shot. But like, for the most part, it's pretty good when they start. And I was shocked that they start to take clothes off. You get some booba. Props to Alison Brie for showing some booba. If it was her. Because at one point, she's taking her shirt off and you see him. And then when it's her, she kind of goes like this. But it's done like there's no cut. So I think it is her. But props to her if it is. You think an actress who's been in a lot of things would not show booba. But maybe she's like Jennifer Lawrence, who's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll do it, right? It's not full frontal, but it's the same thing, Because I think the thing with Jennifer Lawrence in that movie was that they offered a body double. She goes, no, I'll do it. I'm fine. I'll do it. So yeah, and then they start to fuse together. Then we get the wide shot, and it's full CGI, and it does not look good. But to their credit, it's the only one that's kind of like that. The other CGI is really good. This one shot is the bad one. So, as she mentioned, her parents are coming for lunch. So they show up. And so now you're just kind of building to what she's gonna look like. And I'm thinking, so it's gonna be another monster thing, right? They're gonna open the door and it's gonna and cut the credits, right? No. It's weird because they don't hold on it, so you barely get to see it. But they basically dressed Alison Brie like a man to make her androgynous, right? It's like when women want to be trans. You know, when a woman transitions, they still look feminine, but they still have the appearance of female, but they make themselves look more like a boy, I guess is the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a female transitioning to look like a male, but they go by the they, them pronouns. You know what I mean? What is it? Non-binary? Isn't that the term? I'm still trying to learn. I'm accepting, and I'm trying to learn the right terms, okay? I'm trying to be accepting. I'm trying to learn the terms. So just kind of, give me time. That's what she kind of reminds me of, is when they do that, But it's very quick. They open the door and she's like, hey! And then it cuts the credits. Also, I guess the bell they have is to signify that they're a part of the cult. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because one, there is no real presence to the cult but Jamie. And then they come to the decision they need to fuse, but that doesn't mean they have to be complicit in the cult. I don't know. So that's the movie. That is Together Today. Marriage. I liked it. That's some real gnarly moments of the bodies pushing together and stuff. That stuff make you go, ugh. And the acting is great. They're a real couple, so they have real chemistry. And you could tell when people have chemistry because, the sex scene in the bathroom, that's just like, are we just watching this couple do it? And then at the end, with them sort of, when they start to make out, it becomes very sensual, and that's chemistry there. And then it's ruined by the CGI wide shot. But, it's all done. Hit the nail on the head. That's the term. Hit the nail on the head song of Two Become One. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And I liked it. I'll give it a low, pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think it'll be high up on my list for the year. Like I've done, like I did last year, I'll do a best of, a worst of, and then rank all the horror movies I saw. And then I'll do all the movies I saw this year. Which I've done a lot thanks to streaming. I'll be able to do a lot this year thanks to streaming. Yeah. So it kind of saved my ass. So I have a list somewhere. I'll find it. But I enjoyed this movie. So, and I want to point out that is really a shot from the end of the movie, but it's so vague that it works as a cover. It's just the two eyeballs coming close. That's one of the last shots before we see the androgynous version. And I think that works as something that, yes, it's a shot from the end towards the end of the movie, but it's so vague. The two eyeballs, what is it? What is that? Right? They could have easily done one of both of them fusing together or something like that. But they chose that because, it's non-spoilerish. And it works. So, yeah. So what are your thoughts on Together? Don't come so much, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.